Welcome to the True Grime Stories podcast, where in every episode, we'll unravel a new mystery of cleaning business transformation from a grimy mess to a great success. Join me, your host, Jeannie Henderson, as together we dig up cleaning business secrets that you've been dying to know. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of True Grime Stories. I am so glad you're here, and you will be too, because today you get to meet my friend Erica Turner. And Erica is the owner of Green Meadow Cleaning Service in Johnson City, Tennessee. She's been doing this since way back in 2015. And she's here today to share some of the things that she has learned about growing a successful residential cleaning company. So she's originally from Virginia, but now living in Tennessee. She's a proud mom and grandma, which, I'm like, wow, when you said you have 6 grandchildren and 4 bonus grandchildren, that's amazing. I'm jealous, but happy for you. But family is at the heart of everything that she does. Like me, Erica also came from the restaurant industry, so we could probably talk for hours about that. We'll have to do that sometime when we're together.
That's a whole different ball game.
That's a different story, right? And but like many of us, it wasn't her plan to build a big successful cleaning business, but here she is today. So thank you, Erica, for being with us. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, that's so great that we get this chance to talk. So when you got started in the cleaning business, did you start cleaning yourself?
Yes, I did.
And how long did you do that?
Oh, by myself, probably did that for 2 or 3 years. Well, about 2 years before we started really hiring employees.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I continued to do it up until about 2022, somewhere between 21 and 22, somewhere in that year.
Okay. Yeah. So you were cleaning and growing your business at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I learned the true meaning of blood, sweat, and tears, like literally.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of crying, a lot of, yeah.
Yeah. And it is hard. And I think many of us do that. I talk to people all the time who are, managing a team and they're out in the field cleaning. And I mean, it's like you never get a break, right?
No, you don't, because you're doing all those things all day long. So we actually, at the time when we started that, we had lawn care too. So we would get up in the mornings, we would do lawn care work, cleaning. And then at nighttime, we were still doing, like, if we had move-ins, move-outs where people weren't there, and then coming home and still trying to do the business and the administrative stuff. And it was a lot. It was a whole lot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. That just gave me goosebumps to think about how hard that must have been for you guys. I forgot to mention Erica and her husband also started a lawn care company shortly before starting their cleaning company. So running 2 businesses out of your home, it sounded like it was pretty much taking up all of your time, probably still not getting everything done that needed to be getting done, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Well, here on True Grime Stories, we like to hear about some grime because in the cleaning industry, we all come across a grimy part of our, trying to grow our business. And I'm sure you probably have more than one grime story, but what's a time when, you really felt like overwhelmed, didn't know if you were going to be able to go on, knew you had to make some kind of change? When I talk about that, what's something that comes into your mind?
Well, I know it used to be a really hot topic, but it was 2020, and we all know what happened then.
Right.
We had just hired some people, and I didn't know, I still didn't know what I didn't know, but we had just hired a bunch of people. And I was like, I want to make this work. And this was before I had any coaching or anything. And then that happened, and we lost just about every client we had.
Wow.
But
so going into the pandemic, people were canceling service.
Oh yeah. We lost probably 85, 90% of our,
oh my goodness,
our cleaning. So it was rough. So then we had to rebuild. And I mean, we basically had to start over. And
wow.
it was during that time too. My husband and I were arguing about it because the problem was I knew we still had money coming in, but I didn't have any money. I didn't know where it was going. And he was still writing it down in a notebook like this. And
Uh-huh.
he's like, well, we've got all this, but no idea where it was going. And it was like, so when that happened, we had no plan and we had no money. So everything was like crashing and burning, it felt like.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that, I'm sure many people can relate to that because when you're growing your business, sometimes you don't get all the systems set up, right? And the one that we often overlook is the financial system,
Yeah.
right? That system of money coming in, managing the money going out, and having some left over.
Yeah. But like you said, we could talk about different stories all day, but it
Mhm.
all intertwined in the same thing. Like I think I was paying employees $8 an hour. It was taking on 8 hours to do one 2,000 square foot house. But I thought I was doing it all correctly because I didn't
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
And so it all kind of just intertwined. So we were paying all this money and it was just a mess. It was a big mess. And then
Wow.
when 2020 happened and everything crashed and burned, it was like, I give up. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I was crying.
Hmm.
And I mean, we were sitting around the fire pit. If you're ready for this story,
I'm ready.
we were drinking our boxed wine and
The pandemic wine. Yes.
yeah, the pandemic wine, the good, the nice cheap stuff. But we were doing that, and I remember my husband saying, "Well, we're going to have to do something." And I had been following CBF, like the Profits Group page,
Okay. Yeah.
for a long time, and I kept seeing it and kept seeing it, and I was like, so if I looked at my husband, I said, there is this lady. I mean, I don't know her. I don't know if this is true. I don't know, but there is this lady, and they claim that we can get out of this mess. And he's like, well, we don't have anything else to lose. We don't have any money anyway. I was like, okay, we'll give it a shot. So
Mhm.
I made that call, and it was a lot of things started happening. Good things.
Yeah. Right. And then, so you basically were starting from scratch,
Mhm.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And so you became part of CBF. Did you have employees at that time? Had you already started rebuilding at that point?
I did. So we went through 2020 and I didn't actually join to 21 because there was
Mhm.
just, and that was like the end of 2020. We started having that discussion.
Oh, okay.
Things were pretty much still, I mean, around here, we were still pretty much, the quarantine, the whole thing. And
Mhm.
so I did have employees. Um, I had, I don't know, 7 or 8,
Okay.
maybe. So I did have employees. So yeah, it
So you
was,
had to make some changes to the way that you were doing things.
yes, I
Yeah.
did.
So what was one of those changes that you made that you think was so impactful that really helped? And I know there's 100 things that we do to make our business run successfully, but what was one of those things that you were like, why didn't I do this before? Why didn't I think of this before? That kind of thing.
So, oh gosh, yeah, there is so many things, but one of the first changes we made is empowered pay,
Okay.
and putting that together with a solid training program. That was a game changer for us.
Hmm.
It
What
was
were
a
you
complete.
doing prior to that? So you said you were paying like $8 an hour.
They were making 8.50 an hour, and it was
Is
like
that minimum wage in your state?
7.25 is minimum wage. So it wasn't
Okay.
much above it. It was
Just
pretty
above
much.
minimum, just above minimum, yeah.
And when we put that into place, and I know you said one thing, but you kind of got to combine it with the training that they were
Mhm,
getting. It made a huge difference, because they were able to do more homes by using that system and
mhm.
having the good training. Because my training process was, here's a bucket, here's some cleaning supplies, and go clean this house.
Yeah.
That was all I
You're
had.
not the only one. There's a lot of people in the world doing that, you know?
And I thought that was the right way to do it. So
Mhm.
that would be the biggest. I know you said one, but those two they kind of go together.
Well, and it's not just one or the other, it's really creating a great job, right? Like,
Yes.
and you can't have a great job if you don't know what you're doing and you're not equipped to do it well through training. And then it's not a great job if you can't make a living, right, and pay your way with what you're earning there, right? And you don't feel like you're earning what you should for the level of work that you're doing, that kind of thing. So, it really comes down to that you are changing the job that you were offering people.
Yeah. And that's been amazing. One of the technicians that we had right when all that went down, and she was there for the changes. So she's actually started in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
We kept her along, but July, she will be there 5 years, where our
Oh.
turnover was a lot higher
Mm-hmm.
pre-doing that. We have technicians that have been there 4 and 5 years already.
Isn't
So
that great? Doesn't that feel good?
it feels amazing. So
Yeah.
I mean, I can proudly say, and so we do try to, with that and the culture and everything, like
Mhm.
so many things are different because before going into that and making those changes, we were lucky if people stayed 3, 4, maybe 6 months if we were real lucky.
We like, oh yeah, they made it 6 months.
Yep. Yeah, I had one of my technicians that's actually going on her 4-year anniversary told me, she joked about a year ago. She's like, when I started this job, I was only working here long enough until I found another job. So I jokingly said back to her, like, you haven't found one yet? And she's like, no, I love this job.
Yeah,
So
and I think a lot of people don't realize that cleaning can be a great job, but it can only be a great job when the company makes it so.
right.
And that is, it has to be intentional, and it has to come from the leadership, and the owner having systems in place, because you can't afford to pay people well if you aren't pricing well, if you aren't selling well, if you don't have all those other systems in place, you can't provide that great job for people. So it really has to come from you. um, but what's the difference? So when you are, when you have somebody who has been with you for 4 or 5 years, how is that different than when you have that constant churn of team
Well,
members? Like what impact does it have in your business? And then what impact does that have for you?
Well, like for in the business, when we get new people that do come in, they're like, well, this must be a job worth, more like a career. I mean, you wouldn't think of house cleaning as that, but it can absolutely be that.
Mm-hmm.
And people come in and they love the culture, and they're like, because they'll ask in interviews, well, how long have your people, worked here? And to
Mm-hmm.
be able to tell them that
Smart
makes it,
question.
yeah, and it makes it look like a job worth having.
Right.
Um, and for us, and, you go back to, I didn't know how much money was, I knew what was coming in. I just didn't know what was going out. We didn't have any. It saves us so much money because we're not constantly training people. We're not constantly, invested in them for 3 months and then they're gone. I mean, it does
Mm-hmm.
still happen from time to time. I mean,
Sure.
because nothing's perfect, but it just overall, it just makes the company look, to me, I mean, it looks more legitimate and more reputable, and the people love coming in there. Like before I started doing that, like our technicians had to come to our office every day, the whole thing, and now they don't. But when they do, but we have some that'll stop by and come in because they just love being there, and they come in there just to
Mm-hmm.
gather. Like they're like, I
Aw,
just want to see everybody. And
isn't
we
that
didn't
great?
have that. We used to have a lot of like backbiting, and because I didn't know what I had zero systems and processes, zero.
Mhm.
Um, and now it's
Right,
just so
and when you start to see that unrest and that drama, it's really a sign of lack of control, right?
mhm,
Lack of a plan. And when people know that there isn't a plan and there isn't control, they start to try to build one themselves. And often it's a negative one,
right. You're
right?
right, and that's what happened, and it went chaotic. And we didn't even have a handbook because I joked. I told my husband used to tell me, well, yeah, you're going to have to put this in the handbook. You're going to have to put this in the handbook. And I would tell him, I'm not having a handbook. I'm not going to be that kind of boss, which I do not. I hate the word boss. I don't consider myself that anymore.
Yeah.
And I had a technician. show up and cut off short shorts and a cami to go to an office cleaning one time. I'm like, here's the first page of the handbook. I was like, that was so unprofessional. But I had, we updated and we revised it. And we have another technician that's been with us like 3 years. And she come in, I don't know, about a couple months ago. And she was like, I know there were some changes. And the old me actually came out and was like, yeah, I'm sorry, but it's something we have to do. And she looked at me and she said, no, no, no. I like the structure. I like knowing what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, and we need that. We all need that because you're right. They will start making their own rules and it's like, goes crazy. It'll blow up on
right?
you.
In the absence of leadership, someone will rise to the occasion, and it might not necessarily be a good one, right? It might be someone on the team that has kind of a negative attitude, but suddenly everybody's following them.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I love that your team member said they like the structure. That is such an important part, just like children need structure in their day. Team members need structure in their workplace. And that's all part of that great job that you were building. Well, I love your grime scene and your grime story because that's something that as people are starting to grow their business, one of the most terrifying things is hiring and managing people, especially if you've never done it before. So I'm sure this is something that many people have dealt with. I've dealt with for sure. So let's take a break right here. Let's hear from our sponsor, Cleaning Business Fundamentals, and we're going to come back and hear more about Erica's story and the results of building a great business. Is your cleaning business a grime story? There's no need to stay stuck in the muck because you're not alone. With over 500 active members and more than 500 graduates of our Cleaning Business Fundamentals program, CBF is the #1 cleaning business academy in the world and has created more mop-free millionaires than any program in the industry. Learn more and let CBF take your residential cleaning business from a grime story to a gleaming success. All right, we are back at True Grime Stories with our guest, Erica Turner, with Green Meadows Cleaning Service in Tennessee. And Erica was sharing with us how she turned her company around by making it a better place to work. And I love that. Anybody who knows me knows I love building teams and culture. So this is near and dear to my heart. I can talk about this all day.
Actually, I learned a lot from you just on like your post in the groups.
Oh, well, that's so great. Yeah. I mean,
with it.
and that's the great thing about being in community too. Since you joined CBF, you get to share and learn from so many other people. And my culture is like little bits and pieces of a bunch of other people's culture, like we just learn from each other. It's so great.
It is.
Well, I love this story about, building a great team and that, your team members are really taking notice of this being a great place to work. So how many team members do you have now?
Including office staff, I think 24.
Wow, that is so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking in our commercial at the green jacket photo. When did you get your Mop-Free Millionaire green jacket?
That was last year, 24.
Yeah, 2024.
I love that jacket. I was like, you know what? I'm sending a photo with that one because that was a very proud moment.
Yeah, it's emotional, isn't it?
It was not, and I was laughing because I was trying to get the photo, and I told my husband, I said, "Where's my green jacket?" Which was in the closet. I was like, "Will you grab that for me?" I love that photo. It's my favorite. I love that jacket.
Yeah, but it's such a big deal, and you can't get there by yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody builds $1 million business without the help of a great team. It's really everybody working together. So, obviously you've been able to build a $1 million business. You have a great team, approaching 25 people on your team. What are some of the results in your personal life? Because I would guess if you were, burning the midnight oil for several years, things have to be a lot different for you now.
Yes. So it's way different, way different. I am in contact, with my office, staff every day, at least some days I'll go without. But back in September, we were able to take a month-long road trip cross country to go to San Diego and back through Yellowstone.
Mhm. Nice. I
I
remember seeing pictures of that.
and
It was
that's, I
cool.
mean, where I went from not even being able to take a day off to having systems and processes where I could take a month off.
Oh
And
my gosh.
and I'm not gonna lie, I was sick to my stomach, nervous over it, but they didn't burn anything down. In fact, they grew while we were gone. So
Oh, wow. So you went on vacation. How long were you gone?
34 days.
34 days. So 34 days away from your business and it kept growing,
Yes.
right? So that is the result of, really having processes in place that allow you to have the right people,
Mhm.
in the
And
right seats.
exactly. And it's allowing me now, and John reminds me of it. Actually, my office manager is really good about this too, because I'll start feeling guilty sometimes when I'm not there. And she's like, but you were here by yourself for years, and we've got this. And
Mhm.
my John will look at me every now and then, and he's like, and he did it just last week. So all those long nights and hard days, like they're worth it now. Because I
Mhm.
might go in there once a week. I go, for our meetings,
Mhm.
and then I'll stop by. But I have had a dream since I was a kid, and because of it, I've been able to live out my dream that I now have a horse.
Oh,
I
oh, I love
have a
that.
mule. So like yesterday,
Oh.
like Wednesdays, I can take Wednesdays off because my trainer that's training me to ride and stuff like
Mhm.
that every Wednesday. I mean, I'm able
Oh,
to take that off. I'm able to
wow.
take trips. My granddaughter, they live in Kentucky, but one of my granddaughters, her birthday was last month. And it's like, we can pack up. We can go spend a day or two there. And I've got one in Virginia. I'm like, we can go spend, she has
Mhm.
her dance recital. I well, I help with the dance. I'm literally that one that our business pays for the granddaughter's dance classes. Not
Oh,
my
wow.
daughter can do it, but I did it as a gift one year, and it's just I keep doing it. So
Yeah.
we're able
Oh.
to travel when we want to. So personally, it's it's like I've got more free time now.
Mhm.
It's
You
great.
bought your time, right?
I did.
Right? And that's the great thing about building a great business, though, is it can be somewhat passive income. If you have the right team and you're a great leader for your team and you inspire them, they want to keep it running. They love to see you living out your dreams because they
Yeah,
know that the business wouldn't have existed if you didn't have a dream to start with, you
right.
know?
And it's just amazing. It's like I never thought I'd ever, because I can remember crying. I was on jobs when John and I were on there crying. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm.
Especially when we were doing lawn care. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But
Oh my goodness.
um,
Yeah. Were you out cutting grass?
I was
Yeah.
mowing and all the things. But about a year, and the other personally, I remember when I signed up for CBF, and I was like, I just want to be able to get out of the lawn care, like all those things. And Debbie said, don't do that yet. Cause I was ready. I mean, I was ready to implement everything overnight. And she said, don't do that yet. So we didn't. But after about a year and a half, only thing we do now is cleaning. We don't do any of the other stuff.
That's another great story right there
Mhm.
is, I love Debbie's advice. Like, you don't want to give up all your stability, and jump into something, but it frees you to make those choices and doing one thing well. Not only does it accelerate your growth because you're so focused on it, but it also just frees up all this brain space and time that you're spending doing two things, you
Right.
know?
And then, like when we started, I mean, even starting the lawn care, like just like a lot of people, we had moved to Tennessee, and we had lost my mom from cancer,
Mm.
lost my father-in-law from cancer.
Oh, so sorry.
Um, all our kids had grew up, they had their own places, and we were like, well, let's go see what else we like. And we did it to have a simple life, but we were broke. Like, so we moved here, and I mean, I had a car repossessed, and we were
Mhm.
mowing yards just to eat. The only reason we added cleaning was because during the winter, mowing grass didn't pay the bills.
Right.
I really did it as a side hustle, and it's just wild. I don't know. I don't know. I could talk about it all day.
Sure. Well, and a lot of people just don't think that running a cleaning business can be the thing that, gives you this great income. When we're kids, and I don't know if you felt this way, but like I felt like, well, if I didn't become a doctor or a lawyer,
Yep.
I couldn't be wealthy.
Right.
There was
Yep.
something about the respect that people had for professionals, doctors, lawyers, accountants, and I actually went to college to be an accountant. And but I'm so glad that, I went this entrepreneurial route because it really does create like a life that you never could have imagined that it would.
It does. And if I'm having a low energy day, so John, every afternoon, John gets on our CRM that we use and he checks reports and makes
Mhm.
sure everything went good, make sure there was nothing crazy. But I can literally look at him now. Like last night, I was just tired. I was exhausted. I didn't want any negative. I was like, don't tell me anything tonight. We can wait till tomorrow. That's tomorrow's problem. Where before I had to address all those things like right
Mhm.
then,
Mhm.
so yeah. But I had a mini stroke a few years ago too, and my cardiologist was like, "Don't let that business kill you." And I was like, "I know, we got to do something." So,
Well, that can happen. We tend to push ourselves hard, and having a business it's like another child, right? That you're taking care of and
mhm.
trying to get it to grow. So yeah, you got to take care of yourself. Well, congratulations on your growth, and especially congratulations on the life you've been able to build for yourself and your family. It's a huge blessing to hear that for you. I just think that's just amazing, and it's such an inspiration because there's a whole lot of people out there dreaming they could have a horse too.
Well,
To spend time with their grandkids.
yeah, and you know, and I know we're getting short on time, but when I was still in the field and I had one employee and we would do jobs together, and I remember seeing these videos on YouTube, and I literally came across a video on YouTube of Debbie talking about being a $1
Mhm.
million cleaning business. And I was sitting in
Mhm.
the car taking a break with the technician that I had at the time.
Okay.
And she said, we watched the video and I said, yeah, that's going to be me one day. I said, I'm going to be sitting somewhere drinking pretty drinks. And the technician was like, yeah, and I'm going to be with you. And I shut the phone and we both laughed. I thought it was bull. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And that was my first like YouTube video. And then I started seeing those group but yeah, it
Did
can
you tell
absolutely.
Debbie that story?
Yeah, actually, posted it
Good.
on the CBF group one time.
Mhm.
My first live that I went to, she had me get on stage and say that. And it's been a few years, so you probably don't remember. And I was shaking so bad, and
Mm.
Joanne was standing
I do
behind.
remember now that you mention it, yeah.
I thought I was going to pass out, and Joanne's sitting there like I was, and I'm standing on the stage waiting my turn, and she's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay, Joanne?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I get out, I'm shaking so bad, and I looked at Debbie. I said, "I'm so nervous." She said, "No, you're not. You're just excited." I'm like, "Yeah." But I wanted to tell that story. Public speaking
Yeah.
is not my thing, but I think it's so important because to tell your story because you're right. And I was one of those people like, I'm never going to get out of this. I'm crying. We're spending all this money. We've got all this money coming in. I wasn't making a penny. I mean, we were like borrowing money to cover payroll. And I don't have to do that anymore. And I didn't think that
Mhm.
day would ever, ever, ever come. And I was on a local podcast back in August, and
Mhm.
he asked me, he's like, if you had one piece of advice, what would it be?
I was just gonna
And
ask you that,
no
so I'm
worries,
glad you brought that up.
but it was I didn't think I needed a coach. I thought I knew it all. Find a
Mhm.
mentor, even if it's somebody local, find somebody, but I am a firm believer in finding somebody that's in that industry, like with CBF. And I'm not trying to
Mhm.
promote CBF, but my sister has a cleaning business in Richmond, Virginia, and I believed in it. So I could have given her every bit of advice, and I finally talked her into signing up because
Yeah, I remember talking with her. She's like,
it
"My
was,
sister is making me do this."
but it's that valuable in my
Mhm.
opinion, because even when I'm having bad days or I'll feel in a funk, and I'll have John. I will get on my TV in my living room and hook my computer up, and we will sit there and watch modules from the first year because I hear things differently. But
Yeah.
so I'm a firm believer in not thinking that you know it all. Um, yeah, because I looked before CBF. I even was in my kitchen one day, and I told John, I said, I'm going to make my own training videos. And I was like,
Mhm.
I need you to spend a day recording me. I was about an hour in, and I was like, no, we're not doing this.
Oh,
No, I'm done.
yeah.
But you get all that stuff for you. I mean, it's basically done for you.
Right. Find someone who's done it already, right? You don't have to do that. There are great systems in place, and CBF is a proven system, but um, it also takes work, right? You have to be dedicated and you have to do the work and be committed to staying on course, once you do get there. So you obviously have done that. But what
Yeah.
a great story and what a great inspiration. I know the story isn't over, but I love how far it's come already. And what's your plans for the future?
Oh, well, um, just to keep going. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm going to keep going. My plans are to actually. I mean, you want personal plans or business plans?
Either one, which one jumps out at you?
Right now, I board my horses across the street. I'm going to get a mini farm.
Ooh, nice.
I would love to do that one day, but my big goal is to really, and I'm pretty much there anyway, is just keep letting the great people that I have in our company right now, like let them keep doing it and reward them for doing the great things because I've always been that person. I just want to give back, and give back.
Mhm.
And I have a few nonprofit ideas.
Yeah. Oh,
So
how cool.
that's always been my thing. Because
Yeah.
I can remember back when my kids were little, like being so broke and needing to borrow money to pay bills. And I can remember going to pay my electric bill one day, and I told my husband, I said, if I'm ever in the position to randomly pay people's bills, I'm going to. But the
Oh,
caveat to that is they had to be working and at least trying to be able to do it themselves if they could.
right.
Because a lot of times people that are working, but that's a whole rabbit hole thing. But
Yeah.
but that's so I want to. I've got some nonprofit ideas.
Oh, well, I am going to be tuned in. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you, Erica. But thank you for being an inspiration in our community. And congratulations on taking that big step and all the work that you've done to build this great business and this great life for your family. And thank you for being here today. We appreciate that. And to everyone who is watching, thank you for being part of our True Grime Stories community. And if you are in the cleaning business or you're thinking about starting one, I would love to talk with you. I talk to cleaning business owners every day and share with you some of the great things that we've learned here in CBF. And you could be the next green jacket, mop free millionaire, just like Erica, if you put your mind to it, because the cleaning business is a great place to be. So thank you, Erica. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being part of our True Grime Stories today.
Thank you, Jeannie. You have a good day too.
Thanks so much. That's a wrap on today's True Grime Stories. Thanks for joining us in uncovering the secrets of cleaning business success. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and download, and check out our show notes for links and info from today's episode, and to learn more about our sponsor, Cleaning Business Fundamentals. Join us next time as we solve another True Grime story.